Well, what has happened historically is that we've become very confused. You have thousands of different denominations. So who's going to be the boss? The Roman Catholics, of course, claim to be the infallible ones based on the statement of Peter being the first pope, so to speak. So they still claim to be the central organization, and they look with some disdain and despair upon all the scattered brothers who aren't really part of the faith. So there is, according to Roman Catholics, a central true faith. From the point of view of many observers, though, what they teach is not remotely to do with Jesus. The fact that they can call Mary the Mother of God and pray to Mary as the Mother of God strongly suggests that they don't sound like the New Testament, where nobody calls Mary the Mother of God. In fact, Mary was rather distant, from Jesus. The family itself was not really with Jesus entirely. So to make Mary the hero, although she was loyal at the end, we know that, but she was not part of the faith, as were some of the women who supported Jesus. So the whole thing is wrong. The other point would be the Trinitarian idea. The various church councils, 3rd, 4th century, and later Chalcedon in 451, they established a doctrine of God, namely the triune God, which is very difficult to square with the teaching of Jesus. Jesus, we think, in Mark 12:29, was a unitary monotheist, a Unitarian monotheist, clearly, because very clever there, Mark notes that a friendly Jew came and said, Jesus, what is the greatest of all commandments? And he recites the Shema. So if you're going to follow Jesus now, we're back to our original point. Are you going to follow the teachings of Jesus or aren't you? You really should say to yourself, if I'm following Jesus, then I'm going to be bound to the unitary monotheistic creed of Jesus, which wasn't altered one whit. It's there recorded that Jesus wasn't a Trinitarian, I think. So you're going to have to make up your mind on that. So that is in part then the reason for all the fragmentation. Historically, it's quite obvious. All sorts of church councils did not reflect what the New Testament did. However, Jesus, and Jude particularly, his brother, keep telling us to return to the faith once and for all delivered to the saints. John, the apostle, is saying, look, it's all falling apart. And he even establishes a standard, which I'll give you right now, 2 John 7-9. The apostle John says, watch out. If somebody comes to you and doesn't bring the teachings of Jesus, you're being deceived. That is the key, the teachings of Jesus. 2 John 7-9, echoed exactly in 1 Timothy 6:3. The deceiver and antichrist is described here. Watch yourselves, so you don't lose what we, the apostles, have worked for, but you may receive a full reward. Anyone who does not remain in the teaching of Messiah, that is Messiah's teaching, but goes beyond it, no doubt in the name of progress, that famous word progress, but goes beyond what Jesus taught, like from the Unitarian monotheism of Mark 12 to a Trinitarian view of Jesus, doesn't have God. One who remains in that teaching, I like the translation there, in that teaching, this one has both the Father and Son. Isn't that striking? Christianity is based on the teaching of Messiah,